Stick around. The new adventures of He-Man will be right back.
Hello, folks. TFG and Mike here from the eCast Radio Network, and here on Powers of Grayskull series Myths of Etheria. Okay, folks, so Optimus Solo and I recorded episode 76 and 77 of the Myths of Etheria, our She-Ra Filmation review podcast. And during the recording session for these two podcasts, oh boy, we have two episodes. If you put them next to each other, one before the other one and whatever else, they basically, well, you'll get the idea. So the whole thing here, as soon as Kevin pointed this out to me, and I can't believe it was Kevin that pointed this out to me and not me, because normally I have one of the dirtiest minds I know, outside of Mike the Birdman Dodd from thisweekingeek.net. But it's one of those things where I couldn't resist. Kevin's joke that you'll hear in the episode 76 here, I just could not resist making these a double episode, a supersized podcast. So, in the first time ever for the Powers of Grayskull, you're going to get a double episode. It's going to be titled Myths of Etheria, episode 76 and 77. So, 76, 77, one file, one day. It's done. It will be done, because I'm going to be editing it that way. So, enjoy this supersized episode of the Powers of Grayskull series. We're almost to the finish line, folks.
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Here come some Horde troopers.
You and Frosta had better take them, my brother. Mermista and I will go after the spaceship.
Oh, that sounds like a wonderful plan.
She-Ra.
No time, He-Man. Sword to helmet.
Hello, this is Optimus Solo, and welcome to the 76th chapter in our Powers of Grayskull series. With me for the 76th journey into the Masters of the Universe franchise is TFG1 Mike. Hello.
Hello. Yes,
How's it going?
Yes, it's going pretty good. It's going pretty good. We had a very interesting journey in episode 75 where we talked about the comics with my buddy Adas Barons. That was pretty fun. Kind of a break from the whole Filmation cartoon reviewing thing.
Get us a quick break so we can be energized and ready and rested for the final run.
Yeah. As you people are listening to this, I am in California, so I'm on Christmas vacation, so out in California. That's right. Because as a kid, I used to absolutely believe in what Kevin McAllister said about Christmas in Florida. I absolutely believed, oh God, that's just horrible. Where's the Christmas tree? At this point in my life, at 36, almost 37 years old in a row, Wait, huh?
Man, you're old.
Hey, you're only a year behind me. So
Well, it depends.
Funny. Yeah, no, this will be definitely after your birthday. So what you fine people would have realized is episode 69 to 72, no, 69 to 80 will actually be airing daily from December 11th to December 22nd. And then episode 81 will be December 25th on Christmas, because that's the Christmas special. And then the recap will be New Year's Eve, December 31st. So, but no, it's one of those things where I don't know, I'm kind of over the. I mean, my mom's not here anymore. I still have my dad and stuff, but I mean, I've seen my dad a total of maybe 10 times since my mom died. You know, so it's just one of those things where I'm just used to being on my own. And yes, Christmas does matter to me, but I don't. As much as I love the winter and the snow and all that stuff, I don't need to go out and have to. Since it's just me here right now, I'd rather go out in California and spend it on the beach than spend it here alone with no, you know what I mean? So,
right.
But we are here to talk more Myths of Etheria. We're going to a slightly, I prefer, better format. I almost reformatted the entire schedule to see if it could work to get us to 150. I did not do that, but it's just one of those things where I've gotten to the point in my podcasting, quote-unquote, career that 2 episodes per podcast of a cartoon review show is much easier to do than 3, 4, 5, or 6.
See, guys, let's just go back in time.
I know, right?
I was always the one that's the proponent of having less and not having 3, 4, 5 episodes, and Mike always fought me on this. And now he's come full circle. He's realized the error in his ways. So.
Yeah, well, it also cuts down on editing time, too.
But in this specific episode of Mists of Etheria, we're going to be giving you our thoughts on episode 84, Bo's Magical Gift, and episode 85, Sweet Bee's Home. So we hope you're ready, because it's time to go back to Etheria.
It's a nice day for a walk in the forest, but it's about time I started back to Bright Moon.
Oh, there she is, the Princess Glimmer.
Hordak will be pleased with this prize. This wizard's wand will handle Glimmer easily. Shadow Weaver! There's no escaping my wizard's wand.
2 against 1 doesn't seem very fair.
Maybe we can even the odds.
Somebody get me out of here!
On my way.
On your way to a dungeon, perhaps?
Look out, Bo!
This lasso arrow should do the job.
Ow. I'm free!
Got it.
You've got 10 seconds to get out of here, Shadow Weaver. Are you all right?
I am now, thanks to you and Bo.
No problem. I wonder how this thing works.
Be careful, Bo. I wouldn't take a chance with anything that belonged to Shadow Weaver.
First up today is episode 84, Bo's Magical Gift, air date Saturday, October 24th, 1987, written by Philip Castle. Bo gets a hold of Shadow Weaver's wizard wand and becomes quite overconfident about himself. That's really, we complain about the synopsis sometimes and the different little plot summaries that I find. That one is absolutely perfect because literally that's all you need to know about this episode.
That is fucking understatement.
There's a wand, Bo gets it, and it becomes overconfident. End of story. We can move on to the next episode. No, as far as Horde members, there's Hordak, I mentioned an appearance of Horde Prime, Horde Trooper, Shadow Weaver, Grizzlor makes an appearance, and then we have She-Ra / Adora. Casta Spella makes an appearance as well. Glimmer, Bo, Cowl, Spragg, and Sprocker, as well as something we will get to in a little bit. Other characters, Jewel Star, Tall Star, and Starla. So
I'm going to be bringing those up in my Whispering Woods moments later, but yeah.
So we will get to them in a minute, but just overall, I guess tip my hand a little bit with my comments about the plot synopsis. But Mike, what do you feel as far as the plot of Bo's Magical Gift?
Before we get to that, Philip Kessel, the writer, he must not have had a very good career. The Missing Axe, Enchanted Castle, Welcome Back Cowl, Bo's Magical Gift. That's everything that he's credited for on IMDb. It's the only series he's credited for on IMDb.
Interesting.
I don't mean to make light of the man's, career in life or whatever, because I don't know if he's still around or not, but it's just one of those things where normally some of these writers that I've lately, the last, I'd say 5 or 10 podcasts where, I've wanted to see, because some of the last 5 or 10 episodes of the podcast, some of the cartoons have just been god-awful. Some of them have. And I want to see what other things these people have done, and I figure it's going to be this long list of just horrible, horrible things, and this guy, all he wrote was She-Ra. According, just what they have listed. It could be, let's face it, folks, IMDb could be wrong,
Well, they are often.
Yes.
But,
as far as the plot goes, first of all, can we talk about the title? Because the title just makes my skin crawl.
Bo has a magical gift to share with the world.
It sounds like he's, dancing on a stage with a pole, and he's got Mike next to him or something. Not me, the other one. Oh, God. Oh, friggin', stripper movie from a few years ago. Oh, my God.
If only this was back-to-back with episode 86, then Bo's magical gift could make Glimmer come home.
Oh! Oh, damn.
I said it.
Did not believe you just went there. Oh,
Sorry.
my God.
But anyways,
that's awesome.
Bo's magical gift.
This is... Wow. This is by far the most infuriating Bo episode that the series has ever produced.
It's funny because, we've been bitching and complaining about Bo for a while. If you had gotten this far, if you had gotten 84 episodes in and not hated Bo yet, then that's okay because this episode would have done it for you. So we were just there a long time ago, but anybody that wasn't with us, you should be there now.
This episode would have made you hate him the first words that came out of his mouth. As soon as he got that stick.
If there was any holdouts, if there was any lone Bo fans out there that were just still defending him, you can't defend him anymore. You're done.
No.
Throw the towel.
Oh my God. You know what? I really, really want to, what I really want to do right now? I really want to take, and I probably won't do this, but I really want to take episode 66 and episode 77 and turn them into one giant podcast just to have the post title say, Bo's magical gift makes Glimmer come home. I really... Oh, God, that was genius.
You're welcome. But yeah, so 2 thumbs down from both Mike and myself about the plot.
Oh, God. Yeah, okay, so we didn't really go over it a little. It's... Basically what happens is Grizzlor and Shadow Weaver screw up. Bo gets her wand of wizardry or wizard's wand or whatever the hell it's called, and, She-Ra's going to pull a line that, everyone's heard before since 1962 later that I'll talk about, but essentially the power goes to his head and he becomes more egotistical than he usually is. Right. And everybody keeps saying, or even Bo keeps saying, but it's going out. The light's going out. The sound isn't happening too much more. Dude, this is not the fucking cosmic key. You can't just sit here and play this to have it make sound. And it just... Yeah.
There's no Energizer bunnies back then, so...
Keeps going and going and
should have known that eventually it was going to do something, but he was too arrogant, I guess, to even consider that. So it was just... Yeah, I mean, basically what you have here is you have an episode that has, the standard MacGuffin as the wizard wand, or the device, the technological gadget, et cetera, and accompanied with our typical, good person goes bad for an episode and has to learn a lesson. It's a combination of 2 things we've seen a billion times so far through these series. So, and then you highlight that by making the character that's going to go bad for the episode be one of the least likable characters in the entire franchise. It's not a good recipe for success for me.
No, it's not.
So I'm not a big fan of this plot, and it would take a lot for me to like this episode based on that plot. So let's see just how that all worked itself out. We're going to take a quick break and be back to tell you what we find in both Whispering Woods and the Fright Zone coming up next.
This thing isn't getting past me. The Horde just doesn't build transporters the way they used to.
She-Ra, but you didn't have to. I could have handled it myself.
It wasn't you I was worried about.
It wasn't?
No. The transporter was out of control because you slammed it to the ground. What if the transporter had gotten into the crowd? People could have been hurt.
Well,
Bo, now that you have greater power, you should have greater responsibility, not less.
Of course, but don't worry so much. Look, the villagers want us to take a bow. They're cheering us, She-Ra. You and me. I think this wand is going to make me famous.
All right, so I think I've probably tipped my hand a lot, but maybe you haven't as much yet. So let's see what you can tell the folks as far as Whispering Woods moments for the good things.
Between both areas of Etheria, I have 7 notes. So the first 4 are actually in Whispering Woods here. Okay. The Horde fails again, and hey, look, just when Horde Prime comes to town. Shadow Weaver and Grizzlor, absolutely hilarious. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Mantana, and when Mantana does his thing with Shadow Weaver and things like that, but Shadow Weaver and Grizzlor together, that was awesome. I loved the two of them. And what is it about Shadow Weaver now? Whoever's writing her, whoever's working on, even the story editors or the story consultants or whatever, not just the writers, but even the executives at Filmation. In Secret of the Sword, she was the badass, bad female. She was, Etheria's version of Evelyn. And now at this point in the series, she's almost become a joke character to me.
Yeah.
I mean, she's still dangerous. She's still whatever. But, I mean, Witch Hagar and Voltron could just knock her off her high horse very easily.
Well, it's almost because they've gone exclusively to her now. It seems like she gets so much more. Like they can't alter it up. They can't have like a lot of plots with Catra or with with some of these other characters we've been introduced to over the course of the series. It's now been like it's just a Hordak and Shadow Weaver show.
Mm-hmm. You're gonna want to jump in on this. So, hey, look, the Star Sisters. The first time I ever heard of them or saw them, because again, I remember certain things about She-Ra. I did not, as we've said, the last 4.5, 5 years, neither one of us really watched every episode before we went back and did this. So I didn't remember them, hadn't heard of them. But the first time I did hear about them was when Mattel and at the time Matty Collector made the 3-pack action figure set for the Masters of the Universe Classics a few years ago. Mm-hmm. So it was nice to kind of see them. She-Ra stole Uncle Ben's line. With great power comes great responsibility. She says it a little bit differently, but that's essentially the same damn thing.
Right.
You got anything in Whispering Woods moments, or are you going to pull a Lukey?
No, I have 3 words written down, and that's Jewel Star, Tall Star, and Starlight. Interesting, because I had completely forgotten that these people existed. But the Star Sisters do make an appearance, and I did some research, actually. I don't know how accurate this is, because I was having trouble actually finding some sources to verify it and get some more information on them, but originally appeared in a comic of some form. Interesting.
Probably the original mini comics, most likely.
Yeah, interesting that we're doing this right after episode 75. But they appeared in a mini comic to begin with, and then of course, like you said, they were made into a toy with the classics line. Apparently, from what I've been able to find, they were introduced in this episode, and according to at least a couple sources I've read out there, were supposed to be a spin-off of She-Ra. So this was supposed to be the start of something else, where you have these 3 kind of cosmic characters, because the way the comic introduces their origin is that they were at one point they were like on a comet or a shooting star or something like that, or they were banished and were traveling on some type of shooting star comic and crashed into a mountain and were basically trapped there until She-Ra apparently allowed them to be free. And so they all have these different powers, and apparently this is going to be some type of spin-off show that never happened, or spin-off story or something. So I thought that was interesting. But I did like seeing them. It's almost like The Rock lords or the rock people.
The rock people,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
where,
absolutely.
Where we got them just for a brief instance, and it was like, hey, these people from another area crash landed. We could have a whole series about these rock people, etc. That never happens. So maybe the Star Sisters and the Rock Lords could join forces, and we could have our
the Star Lords.
As far as Fright, yeah, I would like to immediately go to Fright Zone though. Because my first note on Fright Zone, 3 words: Jewel Star, Tall Star, and Starla. Don't introduce these characters like that and have them in the introduction with Bo and all this stuff, and then basically do nothing with them. Like,
so this is the only time we see them?
I've done all the scripts, and I don't believe we see them again.
Wow.
But regardless of if we see them again or not, even this episode, it's like, hey, here's these characters, and now you're not going to see them again for the majority of this episode.
That's kind of like someone pulling a Kanye, doing a run-in, and then name-dropping somebody else. Like, seriously, it's like, oh, I like this person, but Beyonce did it better.
It was so brief, though, that we get to see them. That they don't even show us all of their powers yet. Like, if you just watched this episode, you wouldn't be aware of the other two's abilities. Like, you get to see Tall Star do her thing, but you don't get to see anything else. So it was like, why? What is the purpose of them being here if you're not even going to give them a whole episode to do stuff? You know what I mean? At least when they've introduced some of these other characters, they've had the whole episode to shine. So I was both happy to see them and then kind of felt like I was let down overall. 2 other notes here. The look on Glimmer's face at one point was disturbing. I just put yikes because it was just like a weird-ass look. I wish I would have screen capped it. And then So Shadow Weaver just starts the episode out with this random wizard's wand.
Yeah.
No talk about where this thing has been. No talk about how she comes into possession of it. Like, at least give me something, like, start the episode at the end of another thing, like the end of this little quest that Shadow Weaver finds this wizard's wand or something. So we have some idea of what it is, where it came from, why it has power. Not just Shadow Weaver randomly has this wand that's then going to come into Bo's possession and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know, it was a weird way that they placed that wand into the story. What about you? What do you have for Fright Zone besides, let me just predict though, at least one Fright Zone moment is going to have the word Bo in it.
Yeah. I'm actually going to insert a line here because it's one of those things where it's a little bit more hilarious when you think about it this way. So, ladies and gentlemen, J. Jonah Jameson.
He doesn't want to be famous, and I'll make him infamous.
That's right. That wand is not going to make Bo famous. It's going to make him infamous. That's all I can think of is when J. Jonah Jameson said that about Spider-Man in one of the Spider-Man movies. I call bullshit when everyone leaves to quote-unquote watch how Bo saves Glimmer. Only Adora and Cowl are left in the tent. Cowl knows the friggin' secret. Why couldn't she just change into She-Ra then? Even if she had to transform Spirit into Swiftwind. I was thinking that, sometimes in the He-Man show, we've seen this, and I know Spirit, the alter ego of Swiftwind, I know Spirit is not a coward. The Spirit personality, the Swiftwind personality, neither one of them are cowards like Cringer is, because Cringer, the point of Cringer is that the Cringer side of him, he is a coward, and then Battle Cat is the big badass who's gonna kick everybody's ass, quite literally. Right. So in He-Man, we had several scenes where Cringer would run away. I specifically remember this one episode where Cringer ran down the hall of the palace away from the Power Sword transformation, and it followed him around the fucking corner. I absolutely love that moment, but seriously, she couldn't have just done something like that, or the power couldn't have just, slipped right through the opening in the tent. She had to run out of the tent, find a piece of forest or scenery where no one was around. She even looks around. I'm like, bitch, you're in a tent with one of the only people that even knows your damn secret. Just put the sword in the air already. Bo, wow, that guy. even though he learned his lesson still, oh my god, I wanted to choke slam him so hard in this episode.
Yeah. I totally understand why.
Yeah.
Is that all you had? No, I don't. I have another moment that's going to come up later, but I'm saving it for that. So,
right, so
otherwise,
hardware?
I would have some more Fright Zone moments. Well, just real quick, the PSA: power and strength should be used to help others. So, decent message, I guess.
All right, no, it's not. It goes back to what we've been saying recently.
If you have power or strength, it is good to use it to help others.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is it's not the message that's the problem. It's not what the message is saying that I have a problem with. It's what the way the show went. The whole point of the show was when She-Ra said, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
Again, they're repeating themselves. They had a lesson throughout the whole episode because she's trying to sit there and teach Bo, even though he doesn't want to learn or listen or whatever. And then at the end, they have almost the same damn PSA. Really? Seriously?
Yeah, true that. PSAs. All right, we're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, hardware time for Bo's magical gift.
Don't say it like that. It creeps me out.
Because the world needs another movie podcast.
The Geekcast Radio Network presents for your listening pleasure the Cinema Geek.
Hosted by Amanda, Kevin, Matt, and Dan.
Each week we dive headfirst in the landscape of movies as we discuss movie news,
play movie games,
go in-depth on reviews,
and even have a top 10 countdown or two.
Also, don't miss our director retrospective series, where we review noted directors' movies film by film.
Bottom line is, if you love movies and love podcasts, you need to experience the Cinema Geeks.
You can find us on iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, or GeekCastRadio.com.
All right, let's see who's exactly getting Horde Bats and Protection Swords, and I'll let you go first. What do you have for either Horde Bats or Protection Swords? Because I'm going to take a while.
Yeah. Horde Bats, all the Horde Bats in the world to Bo. Oh my god.
All of the bats.
That, I usually give Horde Bats to everybody or Protection Swords to everybody. No. Bo, you get every single Horde Bat ever in existence for this one episode. Oh my god. As far as Protection Swords, She-Ra, Glimmer, the Twiggets, Hordak, I just loved everything.
Hold on a second. How many of those?
She-Ra, Protection Swords for She-Ra, Glimmer, the Twiggets, both of them, Sprocker and Sprag, and Hordak.
Jesus. Well, good thing. I guess it wasn't. I mean, you were out of Horde Bats, so I guess.
Well, I added
you
a
gave them all
million
to
of
Bo,
them, yeah.
so at least. Yeah. For me, I will give Protection Swords to the Star Sisters. I liked seeing them. I wanted to see more of them. So if there's a character that shows up and makes me want to see more of them, then I think they're deserving of a Protection Sword. But Horde Bat. All right. First of all, Mr. Bo, you power-hungry piece of crap. You get one Horde Bat for being power-hungry. You get another Horde Bat for ignoring the signs, like Mike brought up earlier, that this wand is clearly losing power. Number 3, you get a Horde Bat for being so arrogant that you leave your bow behind. Your name is freaking Bo. You don't leave your bow behind. And you don't throw your bow away for some new fancy toy that lights up. All right? And then the whole bowing to the crowd like you're some type of big shot and all that type of stuff, the arrogance, you get a 4th Horde Bat for that. Bo, you are a piece of garbage, and you have displayed all of the reasons why in this episode. So 4 Horde Bats, 2 Bo, and they can hit him all right in his magical gift. So, is that good enough?
Wait. If I can't give 1,000 Horde Bats, which I tried to at one point for something else, how can you give 4 individual ones to the same character?
4 times. I get to hit him with it 4 times. It can be 1 bat if you'd like. I'll just hit him with it. All right. For my episode rating, as far as Crystal Castles for this one, we've been ripping on it a lot. It's not the worst episode of the series, and the only reason I'm not going to treat it like such is mainly because of, like you said, there is some humor there between a couple of the evil characters. The Star Sisters make an appearance, so I can't hate on it totally. So I'm going to give it a 2 out of 5.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5.
You're even higher on this one than me, huh?
The only reason is because, number one, the Star Sisters, number two, Shadow Weaver and Grizzlor, and then, I mean, anytime anyone writes in this classic Uncle Ben Spider-Man line, even though the recipient of that line didn't listen to the damn thing at all, it's still cool. So,
yeah. All right, so not the best rating for the first episode today, not the worst, but hopefully it can go up from here. After the break, we're going to take a look at episode 85 and another new character.
Roger, Drone 7. I'm approaching the planet now. Scanners on. Oxygen atmosphere, plenty of water. It looks good, Drone 7. I'm going in.
A spacecraft, eh? Is it one of ours?
No, mighty Hordak. It appears to be an alien scout craft.
Is it dangerous?
Scanners show it to be completely unarmed. It seems to be on a peaceful mission.
Well, in that case, Trooper, when it gets close enough, shoot it down.
Yes, Master. Charge the freeze cannon.
Looks like the Horde's up to something.
Well, whatever the Horde is planning, I hope it won't spoil your visit.
Me too, Adora. I get little enough chance to see you as it is. Still, that looks like a freeze cannon. What are they aiming at?
Something in the sky, I think. But what could it be?
Drone 7! Drone 7! I am scanning the planet now. Readings indicate excellent colonization potential. Wait! High energy surface reading could be a weapon. Oh! I've been hit!
A spaceship. The Horde shot down a spaceship. Sounds like my vacation's over.
Oh, I'm afraid so, my brother.
For the honor of Grayskull!
By the power of Grayskull.
All right, next up is, as we mentioned, episode 85, entitled Sweet Bee's Home. Air date Saturday, November 29, 1986. Written by Bob Forward. Sweet Bee is looking for a new planet for her hive of bee people that they can settle on. But her ship, Scout 3, is shot down over Etheria by Hordak. Luckily, Adora and her visiting brother Adam are on hand to help out, as She-Ra and He-Man. Also joining them are Mermista and Frosta, brandishing the powers of water and ice respectively. Frosta immediately takes a liking to He-Man and becomes quite jealous when he appears more interested in Sweet Bee. So we have Hordak, Shadow Weaver. We have She-Ra, He-Man, Mermista, Sweet Bee, and Frosta, like mentioned before. Mike, we got a couple things here. We got an episode that the plot revolves around a crashing member of a different world. And then we also have somewhat of a... not really love triangle, but of
that's essentially what it is.
A triangle of people that may have liking for other people. So.
No, it's a love triangle. It's a
well,
very...
it's not really love triangle because it's not in a true love triangle. They all would like each other in a way, except for the two girls. And in this one, it's not.
In this day and age, that may be.
But it's not reciprocated because Frosta likes He-Man, but He-Man does not like Frosta.
Yeah.
He-Man likes Sweet Bee, but Sweet Bee doesn't like He-Man necessarily. So it's kind of a weird thing. But what did you think of it either way?
I liked it. I thought it was interesting, but I would consider it a love triangle in the sense of a whole soap opera angle. Like, I mean, 1970s, All My Children, something like that. These Are the Days We're Alive. Like, seriously, this whole episode could have been a giant soap opera. Hell, this whole episode could have been a reality television piece on Jerry Springer, for all I know. You know, I mean, but I like the plot. I think it's interesting. I enjoyed this episode a hell of a lot more than the last episode. The one thing I'll say is, this is Bob Forward, people. This is Bob Forward when he's writing well. I mean, the jealousy thing and whatever, you know, say what you want about that part of the plot with Frosta, but, you know, we start in space. We start with someone we don't know at all. We see them crash landing. Well, actually, Hordak shot them down. But you know what I mean? We see them crash landing on Etheria. We see that Adam's on vacation again. So I guess that's what I want to know at this point. What the hell is Skeletor? Skeletor should have taken over by now. Like, seriously, he should have. I mean, if Adam's constantly on Etheria, yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I like the idea that we're getting introduced to this new character, the way they're doing it, that we also have the idea that, you know, we've had all these crossovers with Adam/He-Man, but one thing that we haven't seen is, and it makes sense here because, picture it this way, guys. We have a world in Etheria that is seemingly mainly dominated by women. And you can look at that in a bunch of different ways. Number one, the rebellion is almost all women, outside of Bo and a couple of the very minor, like, comic relief characters. But the main characters there, whether you look at She-Ra, whether you look at Glimmer, Queen Angela, all of the other people, Frosta, Mista, Cast a Spell, etc., are all females. Even if you look at the Horde, you have Catra and
Shadow Weaver and Scorpio.
Right, as well as a bunch of other ones, and Entrapta, etc., etc. So there's a lot of female-dominated character environments here. And the only guy that we really get to see, for the most part, is Bo. And we all know how we feel about him. So it makes sense that after time after time after time that He-Man, who is a physical specimen, you know what I mean? Yeah. And much more manly than Bo, all the times that he's come over, there should be at some point a group, you know, multiple people in this world that are like, who is this guy? And let me get to know him more. So that only makes sense. So I think it's about time that in these, I mean, normally I wouldn't get this reaction because it's like, you know, I want my 80s action cartoons to be 80s action cartoons, and I don't want a bunch of love stories, et cetera, et cetera. But it's about time that somebody says, this is what a real man looks like. Bo, go somewhere else. He-Man's here. So,
well, see, here's the thing. This is not the first time, well, this is probably the first time He-Man has had a love triangle, but in the very beginning and almost throughout the whole series, Glimmer has always had a crush on Adam.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, even going back to Secret of the Sword. So, but yeah, you're right. I mean, this is the first time we really see, you know, all of that. What I love about this episode is just how quickly this seemed to move. Like, the action in this and the way the story was told, even though majority of it was a lot of soap opera type stuff, it moved really fast. Like, this did not feel like a 22-minute, 30-minute cartoon to me. This moved very, very well, I thought.
Yeah, I agree. So no problems with the plot whatsoever. A very interesting plot. Let's take a break and then get into the specifics on why exactly we ended up liking this one a little bit more than the magical gift that Bo presented last time.
Do you like retro cartoons? Then Saturday Morning Rewind is the podcast for you. Join them each month as they talk about classic cartoons and interview legendary voice actors like Jim Cummings.
I am the terror that flaps in the night.
Corey Burton.
Sometimes toys can be so flighty.
Rob Paulson.
Sure, Vane, but how are we going to find chaps our size?
Nancy Cartwright and many more.
Eat my shorts.
So grab a bowl of Lucky Charms.
They're magically delicious.
Put on your hammer pants. Go to SaturdayMorningRewind.com. And be prepared to feel like a kid again. Once again, that's SaturdayMorningRewind.com. Saturday Morning Rewind was voted best podcast ever by its host, Tim Nidell. So it's gotta be good.
All right, folks, buckle up because there's a lot to talk about as we make our way into Whispering Woods and the Fright Zone, actually. I have quite a few notes. This is the most notes I've taken on an episode in a while. So I'll let you go first. What do you have for Whispering Woods?
Yay, crossover, yay! Frosta and He-Man sitting in a tree. Man, Frosta has a huge crush on He-Man. Oh my God. She all but basically, stood over a open grate and let her skirt fly up. Yes, folks, that's a Marilyn Monroe joke.
He's here all day.
I know. I'm here till Thursday. Tip your waitress. Around the 10-minute mark or so in the episode, if you're watching where we watch it, or even if you watch on the DVDs, I assume it's around 10-minute, 2-second mark. You know what we get to see for the first time in a long time? The He-Man logo transition. That was cool. I was not expecting that. Man, She-Ra's just hazing her brother. She's giving him all kinds of grief.
Yeah.
And then at the end, she calls him a chicken.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Oh, boy. Hey, look, the cannon is back. Our next Civil War canon. That's awesome.
Yeah, they saved that for all the end episodes, I guess, because we're getting a lot of it here.
Yeah, I know this defies the logic and everything else, and I know it's probably going to be one of your Fright Zone moments. But He-Man goes bowling with with Weaver in the ice ball. I thought that was hilarious because it's been a while since we've seen He-Man. Right? Normally, when he comes into some of these crossovers, he just does like a one and done thing. This was a whole story, kind of involving him and her and She-Ra and everybody else. So,
right.
All right, what do you got for Whispering Woods?
All right. Great look on Hordak in the opening scene. I just thought that was interesting. Crossover, like you said. He-Man and Frosta. I like that idea. I like the idea that Frosta or any of these other main people outside of just the Glimmer Atom thing have an attraction to He-Man. It's also a Fright Zone moment, so I'm gonna say that now. Because they just go a little too far, not necessarily in the storytelling or the action, they go a little bit too far with the animation. The visual gets a little bit like this could have been a much cooler aspect of the story, but it gets a little bit heavy-handed with the visuals. And so I both like the aspect that He-Man and Frosta have this thing, but then dislike exactly how it's executed. But I mean, she's even leaning on He-Man and stuff like.
She's basically, dangling off his neck half the episode.
But he's not moving her off.
Well, but
he doesn't say get off my shoulder. He doesn't brush her away. He doesn't move away. He just lets her lean on him the entire show.
Dude, he's He-Man. He's not supposed to be rude. Okay. I mean, come on now. It's friggin' He-Man. I'm actually gonna show you an image here that I did screen cap. There is a moment in this where she's coming on to him that he's just like, sis, and She-Ra's like, sorry, He-Man, just, and it's just the look on his face, and she's just got her hand up, with this one finger up again. She's just like standing there all, whatever else, basically ready to, just drop her top for him and whatever else. And I don't, you know what? After watching this episode, and I am not trying to sound cruel at all, folks, I have plenty of gay friends, but I see now, I understand now, not just because of Prince Adam's look, not just because of the hair and everything else. I understand now why Filmation Prince Adam / He-Man gets all the gay jokes at this point, because he's just like.
We do have to. I will get into that in a little bit. Save that note. Remind me to come back.
Well,
to that.
I don't want to sit here and go too negative with it. I'm not saying it negatively.
No. I just want to say. Remind me of that because I want to bring that up in a little bit. Enchanta, the I don't know what you want to call it. The swan. Interesting
bird type thing.
Interesting seeing her and her. She's called out by name. How about some stasis pods way before Beast Wars, huh? With Sweet Bee landing and then the race to get to her.
When did this? Okay, this episode aired
86.
November 86. They're a year late on Stasis Pods because we had the Thundercats in their capsules.
Right, true. Sweet Bee, like seeing that character. I forgot. I mean, I knew of her, so I was waiting to see if she showed up or not. But we
I was half hoping Adam would have brought Buzz off with us.
Yeah, that would have been cool. One Horde Trooper down. Man, Hordak annihilated that Horde Trooper. That was hilarious.
He's like, you failed me, and I'm just going to destroy you. This is going to be all your fault.
Right. Cool to hear of another universe and planets like the Hive, etc., and what's going on up there. And also it allowed that She-Ra, you don't usually get this type of writing here in these episodes, but She-Ra pointed out the difference between Eternia and Etheria.
Yeah.
I thought that was super a nice touch to this that they did in this episode. We also got a He-Man She-Ra double punch.
Yep.
So we always get the He-Man punch, but they did one together. I thought that was cool. I thought Frost actually did have a funny moment because He-Man and She-Ra get, they get introduced, and then she's like, "What? Don't we deserve an announcement?"
Yeah.
Like we're just chopped liver.
Well, yeah, that's when Hordak. Yeah.
I also thought we got a lot of development actually for both Frosta and Mermista.
Yep.
More than normal. Like we get to see a lot more of what kind of characters they are, and they're very different characters, but they also are working together with this fire or with this ice and water type thing, etc. So I thought there were some cool moments for those two characters.
That goes back to the fact that you have someone who most likely is writing a story he wants to write. At the same time, he's also mindful of what has come before him, what has come before in the series Bible, as far as the continuity and things like that. Like, this is the first we've ever really seen, and, we've said this recently, these last few episodes of the show have been the first time we've ever really seen Adam and Adora kind of go, Adam and Adora, He-Man, She-Ra, whatever, go back and forth on various things. And as I said earlier, this episode, she's basically, hazing him and making fun of him and that kind of thing a few times. And it's not in a bad way. It's in a sisterly, lovingly kind of way. Like, she's just joking with him. So it goes to Bob Forward because, he's an excellent writer. And maybe this was a story that he just was really interested in making sure it was done the best it could have been.
This could have been a two-parter almost.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. He-Man, I do also like what he does there because he actually allows He-Man to interact with the Etherians.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we don't get a lot of on these crossovers. It's mainly just He-Man interacts with or communicates with She-Ra / Adora, and that's about it. And then they do something and he saves the day or does whatever and then goes back to it, Eternia. So we don't get a lot of him actually interacting with multiple people in Etheria, and I thought that was very cool to see. So
absolutely.
A lot of things to like about it. Also, a couple minor nitpicks for me. I don't know about you. Do you have any Fright Zone moments?
The only thing I wrote down, because I just really wanted to enjoy this episode, man, Frosta, she went from somewhat sexy and sweet to just cold and hateful. Oh my God. Like, that
you
attitude
don't want to piss off people that have the ice pop.
Trust me, I know. It's one of those things where,
they'll let it go otherwise.
The whole, no. Do not bring... that's one thing your Lady Love and I can agree on. To hell with Elsa.
Oh, you're both idiots.
Oh, my God. No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
Keep going.
But it's just one of those things where I know every person, male, female, whatever, always has attitude changes. But that attitude change was like on a dime. It was like,
love triangles.
Yeah, I know. See, you just admitted it was a love triangle, so it is.
A weird one.
So,
but Frosta, like I said, a little much. Could have been an even better aspect of the show than it was. Second off, Sweet Bee is hideous. I'm just going to put that out there.
Wow.
Number 3. Okay, so Shadow Weaver is going to trick this Drone 7, Drone 9, whatever it is.
Drone 7,
yeah, Drone 7, the other Hive member, into thinking that it's okay to land or come to here, et cetera, et cetera. So she's going to do that by impersonating Sweet Bee. All right. First off, how does she know what Sweet Bee's name is? Second off, how does she know what Sweet Bee's voice sounds like?
Didn't Imp show up in this episode, or is that next podcast? Wasn't there something? Okay.
No, Imp wasn't here, so I don't get how she's like, I'm going to pretend to be somebody else. Like, okay, maybe you've seen her in your magic ball, but I don't understand how you know her name, you know her voice, and it seemed weird to me. Okay, next thing. Probably the biggest nitpick, but I got an issue here.
Mm-hmm.
There's 10,000 Hive members. I don't think it's going to be that easy to enslave 10,000 Hive members.
But they're coming to a world that's already enslaved.
Yeah, but you don't just have an army of 10,000 people and say that Hordak's just going to be able to snap his fingers and you have 10,000 new slaves. And I wouldn't be afraid if I'm the member of this race that has 10,000 people coming. Like, do your worst. We outnumber you.
Yeah.
Like, that seemed weird. They shouldn't have made it 10,000. It should have been like, 1,000 or you know what I mean? Like 100. Like something that would have been more manageable. Like they might as well have said that there's 1 million Hive members. Like that defeats the purpose of some of the stuff they're talking about. How does Sweet Bee create that ladder?
Oh boy.
Is that a power of hers?
Yeah, well, she did something. She waved her hand or some, I don't know,
she worked her bee power into creating like a beeswax.
Yeah,
because she even calls it that. She calls it a honeycomb ladder or something.
Yeah.
It just falls out of her butt like a spider.
She calls it a honeycomb ladder. You're right. And here I thought it was gonna, show up as a stinger or something. Like I thought a stinger was just gonna come right out of her butt or something. Yeah, it was a little strange. But
weird.
That was one thing that we could say was quote unquote convenient for the plot.
Yeah. And the last thing that I have here is I just don't get the whole line by She-Ra calling him, asking your chicken. Like that seems so odd. Like that's your sister. Like I can understand like teasing and being like, oh, you're getting red or you're blushing or this, that, and the other. But then like to egg him on to be like, wait, are you chicken? You're not going to pursue this girl or something? I don't know. That was a weird line to me. I took it the wrong way, I think.
Yeah, and I think this is the one episode, I'd have to go back, but I think this is the one episode in all of Filmation where He-Man, not Adam, He-Man has blushed the most. Yeah, I saw the blush animation like at least 5 times.
And it wasn't necessary all the time. So that's what I'm saying. The animation was, if anything about this episode is going to be nitpicked the most, it's got to be the animation because they do stuff, they go to it too many times, certain effects. Yep. The PSA was about not being sad if you're moving to a new town. I don't know what the fuck that had to do with anything. But it was literally about, I guess, like finding new friends and not being sad that you're leaving your current friend. I don't know where they came up with that.
Hey, Lukey, Scott and T-Bob are over in the corner waiting for you. Get over there and hang out with them. Holy shit.
Like, I don't get where that had to do with anything. I guess the Hive was leaving their home to come to a new place, but that's a stretch.
Yeah, that's a very, very long stretch to make.
All right, sir. Is it time for hardware?
Yeah. All right. So hardware for me, Frosta gets a Horde bat. Look, I liked Frosta. I thought her coming on to He-Man was fun and funny at first and interesting until she basically, at one point, she basically lays at his feet on the ice, and the only thing missing from it was her being she basically sprawls out for him, and he just doesn't want anything to do with it. So I think her whole, and the other reason why she gets a Horde bat is the whole attitude, the very quick attitude change. Like, look, it's
cold as ice, man.
Yeah, well, look, have they like actually met before? Like, she had to have known that that's He-Man, that's She-Ra's brother, that kind of thing. And it's one of those things where they've had to have seen each other before. And the way that this episode is written, and again, I'm not going to sit here and not praise Bob Forward's writing, but just the characterization of Frosta here seems as if she's falling in love with He-Man at first sight.
Hey, she's when a specimen that fine.
Oh, God.
That man. When
Oh, yeah, you have to come back to that. You have to come back to the whole Prince Adam, He-Man...
Yes.
Thing. We forgot to do that.
No, it's coming up.
Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah, I'm going to give her a horde bat because just the attitude thing. Like,
right.
you know, she to me in this one episode, and it's only because I've now seen this movie, even though I never wanted to see it. She's essentially Elsa and Anna wrapped up in one friggin' person.
I just about. Any protection swords?
He-Man and She-Ra. I know you found the banter at the end kind of wonky, but I loved the whole banter from the beginning to the end between the two of them. I love the fact that she's basically, you know, hazing him, and we don't know. We know they're twins. We've never, like, I've seen television shows where the twins say, "Oh, I was 6 minutes before you," so, you know, you have an older, even though they're born at the, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, you know, I've seen that before, but we don't actually know. Not that I really want to know who came out of Marlena's womb first, but it's just one of those things where it felt like she was the bigger sister, kind of picking on a little brother kind of thing. And I just really dug it. I thought it was funny because, again, we always see He-Man as this big, hulking guy who can basically lift anything, throw anything into space, put anything out with water, fire, move mountains with lakes in them, and, you know, have his sword create, you know, quakes and whatever else. And now we basically see him as a vulnerable schoolboy at the playground, which I thought was absolutely hilarious and fun.
Yeah.
How about you?
I got one of each. Protection sword I'm actually going to give to Mermista because I just thought she was awesome in this episode. Yeah. You know, she's not falling into either one. Like, she's not involved in the triangle at all, but we get to still see a lot about her character. Plus, she has some cool moves and stuff, cool action pieces. She's kind of over there with She-Ra egging things on, or just kind of like being the more mature person. So I thought Mermista was great in this episode. All right, yeah. Horde bat. My horde bat actually goes to He-Man.
What?
And that's going to go back to what I was going to talk about before.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
You're picking Sweet Bee over Frosta? I'm sorry. If Frosta and her good-looking self is sprawling all out and infatuated with me, and then this freak of a thing, Sweet Bee, crashes from another planet looking like almost like a bee or like some type of weird makeup obsessed like butterfly. Like, that's who you're infatuated with? I don't get it. Maybe Sweet Bee was supposed to be prettier than she was, but I give He-Man a horde bat for his questionable taste in women. So that's where I'm going with that one. Give me Frost over Sweet Bee every single day. How about an episode rating for you? Crystal Castles.
Even though there are several issues with this episode, it still did not ruin my enjoyment of it. I absolutely love this episode. I got to give it a 4.
All right, 4 for Mike. There's literally only one thing that brings us down a little bit for me, and that is more so on the animation side. I just think it was like, we get the joke, we don't need it hammered that much. Like, do a little less of the physical animated aspects of him blushing, of her swooning. Like, we get it. So if that would have just been dialed back just a touch, this would have been a 5 episode for me. So I'm going to knock it down to 4.5. I loved this episode, but it just missed being perfect. So, all right, that does it for the episode 85. At least we're a little bit more positive about that one. So let's take one last break and come back with our thoughts on these 2 episodes, and as we're winding down this track, how our feelings are overall for this world of Etheria.
We brought the entire convention center to the brink of an inter-genre geek war.
Okay, Michael, if we're going to tackle this podcast thing, we've got to do something really special. It has to be cool, daily, in audio form, and undetectable by radar. Something that screams summer. I know, let's do a Phineas and Ferb review podcast. We'll call it the Podcast Organization Without a Cool Acronym, or POWCA for short. What do you think?
I think if we're not careful, Candace is going to bust us.
You can find POWCA on the Geekcast Radio Network, iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, and all of the other methods you find podcasts.
We'll give you the whole seat, but you'll only need the edge.
All right, folks, we're back here on Myths of Etheria, episode 76. Today was one good, one bad.
Yeah, that's for sure. There's still squeezing in a few more characters that we get Sweet Bee, we got the Star Sisters. So even though there's not that many episodes left, we're still finding a way to get a few more of these characters in here. So it's interesting. I think I can deal with a pretty bad episode, not terrible, but a pretty bad episode if you're going to pair it with something like we got with the Sweet Bee's home episode. Like that made the whole episode worth it. So
yep.
I'm excited. We don't have very many corners of Etheria still to explore, but I'm excited to see what else we got. Who else are we going to see? We're only going to get so many episodes. How many just standard Hordak, Shadow Weaver, She-Ra plots are we going to get? And how many times are we going to get to see some more of these characters, new characters, recurring characters, whatever it might be? I'm interested to see what they can squeeze in.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you for listening to Myths of Etheria. If you'd like to get in contact with us, leave feedback for the show, there are several ways to do so. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on this and all of our other episode posts. Leave the show's feedback in iTunes. Please do this. You can email feedback at geekcastradio.com, put Myths of Etheria, and then whatever episode number it is, so episode 76 for this one. Follow us on Twitter, at GeekCastRadio is the network Twitter. You can follow at Pow of Grayskull for the show Twitter. I am at TFG1Mike. What is your Twitter?
My Twitter is at Optimus Solo, and I want to know if you agree with me. Frost does better than Sweet Bee. Let me know.
Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/GeekCastRadio Network. We hope you enjoyed the myths today, and don't forget to join us on our next adventure when we will be crashing into the wall and taking a look at Glimmer Come Home, along with Go-Go Gadget podcasting with the Inspector. For now, I am TFG1Mike with
Optimus Solo.
By the power and for the honor of Grayskull, you all have the power. What the hell was that?
Cringer.
Huh?
That's Cringer.
No, wait, you actually have a cat named Cringer?
No.
Oh. No, but seriously, what the hell was that crap?
There's a cat.
Okay, I was going to say, was Amanda beating you upside the head or something?
No, just a cat sound.
Yeah.
Got to get her out of here.
There. That's the last of them.
You were wonderful, He-Man. Just wonderful.
Hey! If you could leave Frost alone for a minute, He-Man, we could use a hand.
Leave her alone? Why,
Kid?
Yes?
Shut up.
Beyond the Night is the GCRN's latest review podcast. We are covering everything in the Knight Rider television universe, from the classic 80s TV series to the 1991 reunion film, Team Knight Rider, and the 2008 relaunch series as well. So join TFG1Mike and Dion the Music Man as they go in-depth and Beyond the Night only on Geekcast Radio Network. You can find Beyond the Night in iTunes and on www.geekcastradio.com.
Kid?
Yes, Michael.
Just keep driving.
I think it's time for She-Ra. For the honor of Grayskull!
Hello, this is Optimus Solo, and welcome to the 77th chapter in our Powers of Grayskull series. With me for this journey, once again, into the Masters of the Universe franchise. He's still here. It's TFG1Mike.
Glimmer's coming all the way home today, folks.
So,
and it's going to be messy.
Are you ready for more Myths of Etheria? Or should I not even let you talk? All right, I think it's a better idea not to let you talk.
Yes, it's... I don't want to spoil the surprise, folks, but there's going to be a very interesting way that episode 76 and 77 get released. Oh, boy. Go ahead. Continue.
Anyways, in this episode, I made a joke last week, guys. Or last episode.
Not last week. Last episode.
And I apologize for it because Mike is on a runaway train now. But
oh, no. This is happening.
In this episode of Myths of Etheria, we'll be giving you our thoughts on episode 86, Glimmer Come Home, and episode 87, The Inspector. So we hope you're ready, but it's going downhill from here. But it's time to go back to Etheria.
It's not like he can jump through the computer and make me stop editing the way I edit, folks.
I'm considering it. I'm considering it.
What are you going to do, hop on a plane?
Possibly.
Those rebels will be starved out soon. This is the 5th load of food we've taken this week. How can they eat this? Oh boy, I'm glad I'm a robot. Yeah, all we need is a little oil for our gears.
That's the 5th town this week that's had all its food taken by those robot goons.
We have to get the food back, or a lot of people are going to starve.
Let's go!
Wait, Glimmer. We can't.
Why not?
Because we don't have enough firepower.
We can't just sit here and watch.
Well, of course not. We'll go back to camp, work out a plan, and then come back tonight.
Good idea.
I don't understand why we're not doing something about getting that food back.
Don't worry. Adora knows what she's doing.
Adora knows what she's doing. Adora knows what she's doing. Ah! That's all I hear from you. All right. Who's next? I am, madam. Your name? Come on, madam. You know who I am. Well, I'm just trying to be efficient. This is a delicate operation. You can't be too careful, can you, Glimmer?
No, I guess not.
Well, you didn't give me a name.
Glimmer.
Ah, I knew that. Adora will see you now. Oh, dearie my. What's wrong with Glimmer? She's not as happy as usual.
All right, first up today is episode 86, Glimmer Come Home. Air date Saturday, October 31st, Halloween, 1987. Written by Stephen J. Fisher, who, since she's jealous of Adora, Glimmer tries to begin an action in her own rebellion against Hordak. So she's breaking out on her own to show just how powerful she is. Wait, didn't we see this last week with Bo? Anyways, Hordak, Shadow Weaver, Imp, and some Horde troopers, She-Ra, Glimmer, Madame Razbo, Swiftwind, Spragg, Sprocker, and Broom. So what do you think of the female version of Bo's magical gift?
Okay, first of all, Stephen J. Fisher, gotta go to IMDb, just because I find doing this makes the shows a little bit more interesting, exploring the writer a little bit. So he wrote, according to IMDb, 65 episodes of Dennis the Menace in 1986. He wrote one episode, The Girl Who Cried Vampire, of the Ghostbusters series in 86. I don't know if... I'm assuming it's the real Ghostbusters. Let's see. It is... No, it's the Filmation... Oh, wow, it's the Filmation Ghostbusters. He was a staff writer in 1965 on Days of Our Lives.
Yikes.
Let's see what else. He did Brave Star, Beverly Hills Teens. He did episodes of She-Ra. He's done Duel at Devlin, Small Problems, and Glimmer Come Home. Oh boy, we're going to see more of him on this podcast, folks.
Yeah.
Wow. 2 episodes of the New Adventures that he did. And then he did... Oh wow, he was the episode, the Cyndi Lauper episode of Mario 3. He wrote an episode of James Bond Jr. Oh my god. And Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, Birth of a Salesman. So,
right.
Interesting. The plot here, yeah, you're right. It's essentially a repeat of last plot, except replace Bo with Glimmer. She feels that she can do a better plan than She-Ra. She feels that she is not being utilized as she should be. You know what I'm really surprised she didn't do in this episode?
What's that?
She did not sit there and pull the royalty card at all. I'm Princess Glimmer, damn it. My mother's the Queen of Bright Moon. I'm really surprised.
That's the only thing that could have made this episode worse.
I'm just really surprised she did not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is just, oh boy.
Yeah, this plot doesn't work for me, especially coming so quickly after Bo's magical gift. It's literally the female version of that, and I'm not on board for this plot at all.
Nope.
At all.
Nope.
So, yeah.
Right to Whispering Woods we go. You called, madam? Always nice to... I've said it the last 5 or 6 episodes of the show, folks. I want a Madam Razz and Broom comedy hour. I really do. I know we can't get that anymore since Linda's no longer with us, but oh my god, I love those 2 characters. They might be, outside of She-Ra, they might be my favorite characters of the entire series. Holy crap, they stole a Motu film gag. So I looked at the dates for this episode and the Gary Goddard Masters of the Universe 87 film. The 87 film came out in August of this year, and this came out in Halloween. They stole the where Shadow Weaver appears as Glimmer, kind of like Evelyn appeared as Julie's mom. And yep. I liked it. I thought it was interesting. That's why it's in my Whispering Woods moment. I thought it was funny. Best line of the entire series. I think it was Shadow Weaver that said it, but you know how Skeletor would always say something about He-Man's muscles or He-Man being the strongest man in the world and things like that?
Yeah.
Again, I think this was Shadow Weaver. I could be wrong, but you haven't won yet, Muscle Maiden. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I missed that, but that's a good one.
Yeah. You got anything for Whispering Woods?
Yeah, I mean, I do think they do a decent job, I guess, of showing the typical girl jealousy. Between Glimmer and Adora. That is to be expected, I guess. Adora does get all the attention, etc. I thought that Wobo costume or outfit or whatever that Shadow Weaver uses was a pretty cool looking thing. It almost reminded me of something that showed up in the original Planet of the Apes, but I thought that was a cool costume, and it's a decent plan by Shadow Weaver overall as far as what she's trying to do. So I'll give her that, but man, outside of that, there's not a lot of good things I can say about this episode.
All right, let's get right to Fright Zone then. I only have 2 moments, so I'm going to let you get on your soapbox after that.
All
right. Damn. We just had, we already said it. We just had Bo going off the rails, now Glimmer. So Shadow Weaver traps Glimmer's this is more of a technical animation nitpick here. Shadow Weaver traps Glimmer's hands, but the next time we see Glimmer, she's free. What the hell? Like,
apparently that just evaporated or something.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, what do you got?
No, I don't have a lot, but okay. I promised Horde Prime the rebellion would be crushed by the end of the week. That was a dumb line. Like that's going to happen, or like you're going to do something like that. You've been working on it for years. You're not going to do it by the end of the week. Okay, so the Horde troopers say at the beginning of this episode that thank God they don't have to eat this food or whatever. They're robots. All they need is oil, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're going to wrap the whole plot around the fact that these robots, that all they need is oil and they're just robots, are going to be the type of individuals who can decidedly change their mind and play the role of a disgruntled employee and turn on Hordak. Like we're trying to convince Glimmer that that's what they're capable of. So either Glimmer's the dumbest box of rocks in Etheria, that she's going to buy that these robots are going to have a change of heart and go against Hordak, or maybe Shadow Weaver's plan was really dumb, but just for some reason Glimmer fell for it. I mean, how do you explain that? If you're going to literally highlight the fact that these are robots that have no ability to really think for themselves and are as far from humans as can be, then we can't have them switching sides as part of the plot.
Well, yeah, you're right. I'm not going to say you're not right. You are right. But she basically maybe their commands are vocalized. I don't know.
Glimmer should have been like, Glimmer should have known that there was something up. Like,
yeah.
This wasn't like Catra and Grizzlor have come to her and been like, we're fed up. These are troops that are bound to, you know what I mean? They should have done that differently. And then a very minor nitpick, but they're going through at the end, and She-Ra is in a food down on a parachute from literally like a mile in the sky. And some guy goes, "Oh, Swiftwind and She-Ra are dropping food from us." There's no fucking way in the planet that he could have seen who was doing that.
Yeah, well, they had to basically show the people getting the food in some way, I guess. But you're right.
Yeah.
What was the PSA?
I, for some reason, didn't write it down.
Good.
There's nothing listed here on PSA for me, so I must have.
Yeah, I don't. It's not even the fact that I don't like.
It was something
Lukey.
about Glimmer and being jealous.
Yeah, probably. I'm so. We've done these review shows for so long, folks, here in the Geekcast Radio Network, that I am just beyond dealing with any PSA, whether it's a good message or not. We've heard all these messages already so many times before. All right, some awards. What do you got for Horde Bats or Protection Swords?
There's just one Horde Bat, and it goes to Glimmer. Number one for the. I should give 4 Horde Bats to Glimmer, just like I did Bo.
Go ahead.
But mainly number one for being stupid, as far as falling for this Horde Trooper thing. Number 2, being jealous of Dora to the point that you're going to try to do something on your own. Like, get over yourself. It's Princess, or it's freaking She-Ra / Adora. Like, I'm sorry, you have to play second fiddle to that person. You have to be okay with it. Like, that's part of the rebellion. So you get a Horde Bat up here, you know what?
Any Protection Swords?
No, nothing for this one.
All right.
I should give one for Shadow Weaver for having a good idea, but it's really not a good idea. You just
no, it's not a good idea.
So,
I'm gonna give a Horde Bat to Glimmer as well. So she essentially gets 5 Horde Bats, 4 from you and 1 from me. I'm also going to give Protection Swords to She-Ra, Raz, and Broom. And it doesn't matter what Madame Raz and Broom are doing, as long as they show up and they make me laugh, they each get a their Protection Sword.
All right.
For ratings, what do you got?
I could be harsher on this, I guess, but man, I mean, I don't know why I'm giving it this high of a score. I'll give it a 2, though.
Really?
Yeah, I guess a 2. That's too high, but 2.
It only gets a 1 from me, only because of Madame Raz and Broom. That's pretty much it. So it gets a 1 from me.
All right, so not a good start. So let's see if it can go up or down from here as we take a break and come back with the return of the Inspector.
Go Gadget Podcast.
Watch out, He-Man. Here it comes.
Time to see how this shield works.
let's see how the shield works against freeze rays.
Talk about cold. Are you all right, Duncan?
Oh, sure, I'm fine. Especially now that I know my new electric force shield works against explosions and freeze rays.
Thanks. That does feel...
Hear me, He-Man. I summon you.
He-Man, what's wrong?
Come to Castle Grayskull. Your sister Adora needs your help. Hurry!
It's the sorceress. I have to go to Castle Grayskull right away. Adora is in trouble.
Oh, dearie my, He-Man, but you're a sight for sore eyes.
You can say that again, madam.
And I'm glad to see both of you, too. Now, what's this about Adora needing my help?
Oh, it's terrible. Just terrible. It all began this morning. Tell him, Adora.
A man we'd never seen before met us outside Whispering Woods and told us Horde troopers were headed toward a nearby village. He told us the people who lived in the village were to be enslaved and sent to work in Horde mines.
So the last episode up today is episode 87, The Inspector. Saturday, November 7th, 1987, J. Larry Carroll. He-Man is called to Etheria after the rebels were tricked into an ambush and Adora has lost her sword. After capturing Horde Inspector Darkney, Adam takes his place and enters the Fright Zone with Adora as his assistant. So we have Hordak, Inspector Darkney, Catra, Natasha, or I don't know why I listed her in the Horde members, Mantenna, Grizzlor, and Horde Prime. Then we have She-Ra, He-Man, Man-at-Arms, Sorceress, Madame Razbo, and Natasha. So what do you think about this whole storyline that's revolving around a recurring character returning here? The second time we're going to see Inspector Darkney, as well as a crossover, as well as She-Ra losing her sword, so we just have Adora. What did you think of that whole combination?
I liked it. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was an interesting way to tell the story. Now, I enjoy this kind of flashback where the sorceress is basically telling us and showing us what the hell happened. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily, hey, we're all going to sit around the campfire and then we're going to tell you something that happened supposedly 2, 3, 4, 10,000 years ago. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed that. Looking at J. Larry Carroll, he is by far a very accomplished writer. He's done a lot of stuff that you and I both enjoy.
He's done a lot of She-Ra, too.
He did one episode of He-Man. It was Orko's Return. Does not say how many, but he did write on Silverhawks. He wrote on Dennis the Menace. He did multiple episodes of She-Ra, including ones that I think will be coming up after Inspector. He did Portrait of Doom, The Inspector, and I think 2 that are coming up, because I don't remember us already doing this one. Shades of Orko and Swifty's Baby.
Nope. Swifty's Baby is the last one of the series. So
right. Yeah, I know that, yeah. He did Brave Star. He did The Case of the Sinister Spa and The Case of the Cool Caveman and Cops. Beauty and the Beast TV series, Thundercats, 6 episodes. Camp Candy. Turtles. He did 4 episodes of Turtles in '89. G.I. Joe, the 1990 series. I believe that was the Deke series. D-Day at Alcatraz, the 2-parter there. He's done a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff, like I said, that we both really like. He wrote one episode of Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego, which was, I believe, that was the cartoon series in '94. I think the most recent thing, I'm trying to see, most recent thing he did was a TV series that I don't know how many episodes it lasted, but it was Edgar and Ellen from 2008. The last major thing that I noticed him from was Diagnosis Murder. He wrote 8 episodes, and then Martial Law from CBS. So, I mean, he's an accomplished writer, and this plot is... it's okay. It's not horrible. I think it's more of that comedic kind of writing where they're basically showing that Hordak is just a bumbling fool. I see now why Skeletor won our GCRN Wars.
Yeah, as you get to learn more about him.
Because, I just have fun with Hordak. Like, I do not see Hordak as a threat anymore. As a kid, and even, a few years ago, I assumed that Hordak was always this big bad. And
there's a reason for that, and I'm going to expand on that a little bit more. But I don't.
All right.
It's going to come up again, so let's have that conversation here in a minute. But, yeah, I mean, the plot is interesting. There's a lot of stuff going on here. I like the idea that She-Ra doesn't have her sword, so we're going to have to deal with Adora. It makes sense that she's going to call for He-Man's help then, so we got a crossover. And the whole idea that we're going to have the Inspector coming back, I guess, is cool because it's always nice to have a recurring character. So I think there's some good elements. It's just kind of how they're going to weave that all together was the question that we had to have answered by actually watching the episode. So.
Absolutely. Let's jump into Whispering Woods. What do you got?
All right. Number one, I like that we actually started in Eternia, and it was cool. Once again, it's been so long, but we not only get to go back to Eternia, but we get to see He-Man and Man-at-Arms testing out gadgets again. Like
it's the reverse of a few podcasts ago. Stop looking at my notes.
So I like that we got to see that. That was awesome. We get to see
and that gadget comes into play later too.
Right. We get to see Castle Grayskull.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. Like I said, an interesting dilemma for Adora. The return of the Inspector. He-Man insults. Also been a while since we get to hear some He-Man insults. Calls Mantenna bug eyes and stuff like that. It was interesting that the Inspector was going to spectate on that battle and see how it went. And I forgot to mention this character in the beginning, but Spyster was a part of this. I guess you could call him a Horde member, but or hired by the Horde, like a mercenary or something. But Spyster, the tricking goes full circle because just how he tricked them in the beginning, there's a trick there at the end. So I thought that was kind of cool how they did that. I like how we think this is going to have Inspector Darkney playing a big role in this episode, and he's really not in it at all.
No, he's not.
Right. And I'd like to get your thoughts, because a few episodes back, you had stated that if we ever saw Natasha or Spinnerella again without the other one, that you would be upset. We get to see that. You didn't think we were going to get to see either one of them again. We see Natasha here.
Yeah. She doesn't really get a chance to do a whole hell of a lot. I mean, she's just kind of there to show part of the rebellion. I wish Spinnerella was there. I know it wasn't a story centered around them. I mean, as somewhat of almost Lukey background character, I mean, she does have a few speaking lines, but it's just weird not seeing her with Spinnerella. And again, we barely learn anything about Natasha. Like, we don't know anything about her powers. She's just that
mysterious girl in the background.
Yeah, and like, okay, so I'm going to go a little gross here, folks, so I'm sorry if you want to fast forward about, 5 or 10 seconds. What the hell is up with that slip around her neck? Because don't get me wrong, folks, I get it, it's a fashion statement, it's a part of her costume, but every time I see something like that, all as I can flash to is think of any crime show. I'm not talking about CSI or anything like that, but just think of Dateline or 2020 or Unsolved Mysteries, whatever. All as I can just imagine it, like her, that's covering up some sort of injury, like somebody tried to cut her throat or something. Yeah. It was a little weird. But yeah, no, it was a little strange seeing her here without Spinnerella.
I did like seeing her, though, to see that she's still part of the rebellion and whatnot.
Yeah.
My only other moment before you go here is I just thought it was a funny moment with Darkney at the end that that Spyster kind of has him like that, and then it's like, and then Hordak makes him go through the trap door. Is that the wisest choice? Like, this guy's reporting back to Horde Prime, and you're going to send him through the trap door?
He didn't do it on purpose. He did it and see, here's the thing. I've gotten so used to Mantenna standing on the trap door, and so used to seeing the animators do the background, so that you can clearly see the trap door. Right. I don't know how the characters, even though they're looking at Horde, I don't know how the hell they don't realize they're on a fucking trap door. But as soon as Hordak started pounding his fist on his chair, I just knew even the whole time Darkney was talking before I just knew it was gonna happen. And lo and behold, it did. And again, this goes back to the thing what I was saying earlier about basically this whole episode basically showing, Hordak to be comedy relief, and everybody else that is around him turned into comedy relief. And yeah, like I said earlier, you're kind of reading off my notes. I didn't write as much as you did as far as the intro, but I was like, hey, we're starting on Eternia. That's really nice. Because really, in this series, outside, again, everything is outside of Secret of the Sword. Outside of that, the only time we ever really see Castle Grayskull is for that split second when, by the power of Grey, and we see her standing in front of it. But like you said, we actually go to Eternia. We actually see the castle. And I thought that was all cool, fun, and interesting. I thought, again, as I said earlier, I thought it was an interesting way for He-Man to get the information. And all I can think of is the old Bill Cosby thing. Lone Ranger say, Tonto, go to town, get the information. What's information? Information say, no, Tonto, go to town. So, but yeah, it's just one of those things where that was interesting. I thought that was cool. What I also thought was interesting here is that you have He-Man and Adora.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool. I thought that was interesting. What I found kind of strange, and I'm not transitioning to... I'll come back to that. Well, no, not yet. Well, I got one other thing. Hey, look, it's the He-Man and She-Ra Olympics sword to discus. Now we can go straight to Fright Zone. What I thought was interesting as far as Fright Zone moments was, I thought they kind of lost something here, was we've seen in the past that Hordak wants the swords. We've seen that Shadow Weaver tried to figure out the Horde Trooper just picks up her damn sword and just takes it and tosses it somewhere in the Fright Zone or inside Hordak's path. Like, the Horde Trooper doesn't take the Sword of Protection back to Hordak? Like, seriously? They just throw it somewhere so she can find it? Really? Come on. Okay, the only other nitpick I have for Fright Zone, because I just love this episode, the fake fucking beard. Come on now, people. Come on, animators. You could have colored that yellow to make it blend in. A guy who basically has a tan all the time, even as Adam, Adam being as pale as he is, and having yellowish, blondish, whatever the hell you want to call his hair. Because I always call Adam / He-Man's hair yellow. I don't call it blonde. Because I just don't think it's... I don't know, whatever. But having the brown beard, and I'm like, you're going to get caught in like 2 seconds. And the sad thing is, the villains are all fucking dumb. What do you got for Fright Zone?
Just a couple little minor nitpicks, I guess. Number one, why would the inspector tell them why he's there? Like when he gets captured, oh, I'm here, I'm doing this, I'm blah, 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 blah. You're still part of the Horde, you should know better than that. I was confused at one point. I'm like, wait a second, are we going to act like... I thought that they were going to try to pretend that Adam was Inspector Darkney, in which case I was going to have a huge problem because Hordak's already met him before. But then they did it a little different. But I didn't like the fact that he brought Adora with him. Like, number one, it makes me think that Hordak should recognize Adora, even if she is somewhat in disguise. But number two, why would you risk that? Why take Adora in there when people in the Fright Zone know Adora?
Yeah.
So He-Man should have done that on his own. I would have liked that almost even better.
The other thing is, there's a moment there where he actually has to stop her.
Mm-hmm.
Hordak's talking and threatening one of her friends or something, and she's almost about to act, and He-Man basically elbows her.
Right.
And the whole thing with Adora, I'm like, what'd you do? Raid Shadow Weaver's closet? Because, I mean, seriously, if you covered her up a little bit more, she could almost be Shadow Weaver.
Yeah. And then my last one, and this is not just based on this episode, this is based on a number of episodes, but it's happening a lot more recently.
Yeah.
And that is the existence of Horde Prime.
Yeah.
We're getting a whole lot of Horde Prime here at the end of She-Ra. And I've come to the conclusion and the determination that I do not like Horde Prime as a character. And the reason I don't like Horde Prime as a character, besides the fact that it's too many times here in Etheria, we have these mythical, like, non-body, creatures like Light Hope and Horde Prime and all this. And I just don't like that. Like, I want my characters to have a physical form of some sort. But
they've done well with Light Hope. They really
still
have.
Not my favorite character, but
no, that's fine. And there's not much to his character. He's just there to be a guidance for She-Ra. But what I'm saying is, as far as appearances, they've done well with Light Hope. They've used him sparingly.
Right.
Whereas Horde Prime, ever since Horde Prime takes a holiday, he's shown up. We've seen he's his son. We've seen all this stuff.
But my big problem here is that, okay, I get maybe that you want to hint to the fact that there is someone that is above Hordak. Or even if you want to tie it into Skeletor, too, and say that there's some type of all-powerful being that's even above these guys, and these guys are just each on their planets, doing their thing. I would much rather not have that, though, because all Horde Prime does, in essence, though, by having him as a character, is belittle our thoughts of Hordak. Like, it just makes Hordak less of a bad guy, less of an intimidating force. It counteracts his power, his badness, his everything, and just makes him into this comic relief fool that, even though he's in charge of all these other people, is just made into a joke in front of Horde Prime. So I just wish that the Horde Prime would have never existed. Like, I don't feel like we gained anything from having this Horde Prime character and having Hordak have to answer to him and cower down to him and all this other stuff. I would rather Hordak just be a badass.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, let the jokes be Hordak's minions, like it is in He-Man. Like, Skeletor doesn't answer to anybody, and the jokes are Beastman and Evil Lyn, and not necessarily Evil Lyn, but all these other folks. Like, Skeletor sometimes gets put to shame by He-Man, but that's okay if Hordak gets put to shame by She-Ra, but she should be the only one that can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. See, here's the thing here, folks. What I think happened is, number one, we've said this since episode 46 of the podcast. This is when we started the She-Ra series. He-Man and She-Ra are essentially, they do have their individual traits, but they're essentially copies of Luke and Leia. Okay? And in turn, Hordak and Skeletor are kind of... At first, I thought they were going to be copies of Vader and the Emperor, with Skeletor being Vader and Hordak being the Emperor. Where in this case, I don't think that's it at all. I think Skeletor is more of Darth Maul, and then Hordak is Vader, and then Horde Prime is the Emperor, because Horde Prime just comes in and basically just shits all over Hordak, and it's just not good.
Right.
Like,
it's not good.
I'm glad. I know a couple episodes ago we talked about the comics, and in that episode, of course people would remember it by now, but in that episode, Adas Baron and I basically told you about what's going on currently, or what's been going on currently in the DC Comics continuity for the He-Man series that they've been running since 2012. And so far, to my knowledge, in that entire series, we've never seen a Horde Prime type character at all, and it's just so much better. And this show, She-Ra the Princess of Power, should have done something with Horde Prime other than just showing him as this giant cloud and one hand.
Right. Yeah, I just don't get what he didn't make anything better in this entire franchise so far. So
no.
Yeah.
Awards.
And the PSA was just about real quick. It was about that you need your family or loved ones so that you can turn to them in a time of need.
Yep. All right. Any Horde bets for you?
Yeah, I got two of them. One goes to Inspector Darkney, because why are you giving away your plan and what your mission is and what your purpose is on Etheria to the Rebellion? You know it's the rebellion. You know you're captured. Why would you do that? And then, like I just said, not that it deserves it because of this episode, but enough's enough. I can't take any more. Horde Bat to Horde Prime.
Yeah. Me, I don't really have any Horde Bats, but I do have some protection swords. So what do you got for protection swords?
Just one, and that's going to go to He-Man. I liked him in this episode quite a bit.
I got to give a little bit of an explanation because we didn't get to bring this part up. So Hordak freezes part of the rebel leaders and puts them in jail.
Right.
And he sits there and does this whole explanation that the jail is the most powerful metal in the universe. So it's supposedly more powerful than He-Man and She-Ra. And he goes to demonstrate this, and they lock him in the cell. I thought that was so hilarious. I have to give Hordak a protection sword just for that moment, because that was awesome. I'm also going to give one to He-Man and She-Ra as well, because just, again, as I said in episode 76, just seeing them and the continuity that the writers are kind of building up for them, and just seeing their interactions, absolutely awesome. What about a rating for you?
It's hard. I like this episode quite a bit. And there's not really that much bad. I think Horde Prime ruins it a little bit for me, so it knocks it down to a 4 for me, but it is a good episode.
I gotta give it a 5. Even though Horde Prime's there, it's still... This was just so much fun. Absolutely loved this episode.
So we ended it... I mean, this is weird. This is... very similar to last episode, because we started on a bad episode that are both very similar with Bo and then with Glimmer this week, and then we had an episode that was so much better, which was a crossover episode coming second, that both worked phenomenally. So hey, if we can get, like I said, not last episode but 2 episodes ago, if we can get one good episode for every one bad episode the rest of the way through, I'll be fine. That would mean we'd get about 4, 5, 6, hopefully good episodes out of the final 10 to 12. I'd be fine with that.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to take a final break. Come back to close the show after this.
A female He-Man! Oh, this is the worst day of my life!
All right, we are back here, folks, on Myths of Etheria, episode 77. We only got like 3 episodes left until we hit Christmas special, folks. First time either one of us have really... Every Christmas since we started this podcast in 2012, folks. Every Christmas since 2012... I've seen bits and pieces of the Christmas special. I know what the Christmas special's plot is. I don't know it just off the top of my head memory, but I do remember parts of it. I remember that, it's He-Man, She-Ra, Skeletor, blah, 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 and all that. But I have not actually watched the Christmas special in a very long time. So it's going to be an interesting, very merry Motu Christmas this year for us. Any final thoughts on either of these 2 episodes or... what, we got basically got like 6 episodes left, so...
Yeah, like I said, I'm just hoping for like 3 or 4 good ones after this. Like 3 or 4 real good, solid ones, because I need some good ones to finish, filling out my top 10 episodes of the series. So I'm hoping for some entrance into that lottery.
Absolutely. Thank you for listening to Myths of Etheria. If you'd like to get in contact with us to leave feedback for the show, there are several ways to do this. Visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on this and all of our other episode posts. Email us, feedback at geekcastradio.com. Put in the subject line, Myths of Etheria, whatever episode number it is. This is episode 77. Leave the show's feedback in iTunes. Please do this. Follow us on Twitter, at geekcastradio is the network Twitter. You can follow at Pow of Grayskull for the show Twitter. I am at TF2 Mike. What is your Twitter?
At Optimus Solo.
Become a fan on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/Geekcast Radio Network. We hope you enjoyed the myths today, and don't forget to join us tomorrow when we take a look at Portrait of Doom, dun dun dun, and Hordak's Power Play.
Interesting 2 titles. I'm intrigued.
I'm waiting for the Doom balloon at this point. For now, I am TF2 and Mike with
Optimus Solo.
By the power and for the honor of Grayskull, you all have the power.
Why does everything happen to me?
You know, it's just like Broom and me. We're a team. His job is to fly, and my job is to steer.
Steer? Is that what you call what you do?
Now, just a minute, Broom. Do you remember that time when you said we should go north and I said we should go